Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 12 motorcycles only very dumb people buy. Number 12, BMW R18. The BMW R18 isn't a bad motorcycle, but it can be a bad purchase for the wrong buyer. Too many people walk into a dealership, fall in love with its massive boxer engine and vintage styling, sign the paperwork, and only later realize they bought a motorcycle that doesn't actually fit the way they ride. That's exactly why it opens this list. One of the biggest mistakes buyers make is assuming the R18 is simply BMW's version of a traditional American cruiser. In reality, it's a very large, very heavy motorcycle with a unique riding character that isn't for everyone. If you buy it without spending serious time in the saddle first, there's a good chance you'll end up disappointed. Ownership costs are another reality many buyers ignore. Maintenance, accessories, insurance, and replacement parts can all be significantly more expensive than many competing cruisers. Those costs aren't necessarily a problem if you know what you're getting into, but plenty of buyers don't. Resale is another factor worth considering. The R18 appeals to a relatively small audience, which can make selling or trading it later more difficult than buyers expect. That's something dealerships rarely emphasize during the sales process. The shocking truth isn't that the BMW R18 is a poor motorcycle. It's that too many people buy it with their eyes instead of their brains, and that's usually where the regret begins. Number 11, Indian Chief. The Indian Chief has all the ingredients of a dream motorcycle, classic styling, a premium badge, and enough road presence to make people stare at every stoplight. The problem is that many buyers stop thinking the moment they see it. That's exactly why it belongs on this list, because buying a motorcycle based purely on emotion is one of the fastest ways to end up with an expensive regret. One of the biggest mistakes buyers make is assuming that a premium cruiser automatically delivers a premium ownership experience for everyone. The Chief is a large, heavy motorcycle, and that becomes very obvious in parking lots, tight U-turns, stop-and-go traffic, and everyday city riding. A lot of people fall in love during the test ride and only later realize how much motorcycle they're actually managing every day. Then there's the money. The purchase price is only the beginning. Insurance, accessories, premium maintenance, and the inevitable temptation to personalize a Chief can add thousands of dollars to the ownership experience. Many buyers seriously underestimate how quickly those costs start stacking up after the motorcycle leaves the showroom. The shocking truth is that the Indian Chief isn't a motorcycle for people who want to look cool for 5 minutes. It's a motorcycle for people who fully understand the size, cost, and long-term commitment that comes with owning a heavyweight premium cruiser. Number 10, Harley-Davidson Street 500. The Harley-Davidson Street 500 looked like the perfect gateway into the Harley brand, and that's exactly why so many buyers rushed to it without thinking things through. On paper, it promised affordable Harley ownership, manageable performance, and classic American styling. In reality, many owners later realized they had paid for the badge more than the overall experience. One of the biggest mistakes buyers made was assuming every Harley delivers the same character. The Street 500 feels noticeably different from the larger cruisers that built Harley-Davidson's reputation. Riders expecting the traditional Harley experience often walked away disappointed after realizing the motorcycle lacked the feel, presence, and personality they had imagined. Performance also became a common complaint. After a few months of ownership, many riders found themselves wanting more power, better highway comfort, and stronger overall performance. Instead of keeping the motorcycle for years, a large number of owners started looking for an upgrade much sooner than expected, making the original purchase far less worthwhile. The shocking truth is that buying the Street 500 simply because it was the cheapest way to own a Harley has turned out to be a decision plenty of riders wish they had thought through a little more carefully. Number 9, Suzuki Boulevard C50. The Suzuki Boulevard C50 is one of those motorcycles that fools buyers into thinking they're getting an incredible bargain simply because it's dependable and reasonably priced. Reliability is certainly one of its strengths, but buying a motorcycle based only on that can lead to disappointment if you ignore everything else that comes with owning it. A common mistake buyers make is assuming the C50 offers the same excitement as larger cruisers. Once the honeymoon period ends, many owners begin wishing they had spent a little more for stronger acceleration, more highway power, and a motorcycle that feels less limited when riding with bigger bikes. Saving money up front doesn't always feel like a win if you're shopping for another motorcycle a year later. The C50 also struggles to stand out in a crowded cruiser market. While competitors continue adding modern styling, updated technology, and stronger performance, the Boulevard C50 sticks to an older formula that can leave some buyers feeling like they've purchased yesterday's motorcycle rather than today's. The shocking truth is that buying the Boulevard C50 simply because it's affordable and reliable can be a costly mistake if you never stop to ask whether it's actually the motorcycle you'll still enjoy owning a few years from now. Number 8. Yamaha Bolt. The Yamaha Bolt is another motorcycle that attracts buyers for all the wrong reasons. Many people see its clean styling, affordable price, and Yamaha reliability, then assume it's the obvious alternative to a Harley-Davidson. That's where the mistake often begins because looking similar and delivering the same ownership experience are two very different things. A lot of buyers purchase the Bolt expecting it to satisfy the same cravings as a larger American cruiser. After the excitement wears off, many realize the motorcycle doesn't have the size, road presence, or relaxed highway character they originally wanted. Instead of enjoying it for years, they begin browsing dealership websites for something bigger within a surprisingly short time. The Bolt has also remained largely unchanged for years. While reliability hasn't been a problem, the motorcycle has struggled to keep pace with newer competitors offering better technology, improved comfort, and stronger overall value. Buyers who fail to compare it carefully against newer alternatives often discover they settled too quickly. Another factor people overlook is resale. Since demand isn't especially strong and used examples are widely available, owners can find themselves accepting a lower trade-in value than expected. The shocking truth is that buying a Yamaha Bolt just because it's the cheaper way to get cruiser styling is exactly the kind of decision that leaves many owners wishing they had spent a little more time and a little more thought before signing the paperwork. Number 7. Harley-Davidson Pan America. The Harley-Davidson Pan America is an impressive motorcycle on paper, but that doesn't automatically make it the right motorcycle to buy. Too many riders get caught up in the excitement of Harley-Davidson entering the adventure segment without asking whether they actually need a large, expensive adventure bike in the first place. That's where costly mistakes begin. One of the biggest problems is that many buyers never use the Pan America for what it was built to do. They picture themselves crossing continents and exploring remote backroads, but the reality often ends up being weekend rides on paved highways with very little off-road riding. The Pan America can also feel intimidating for riders without adventure touring experience. Its size, height, and overall capability require confidence that many first-time buyers simply don't have. Some owners quickly discover that a motorcycle they admired in the showroom feels much less enjoyable during everyday riding. Then comes the financial commitment. The purchase price is only part of the story because accessories, luggage, maintenance, insurance, and premium riding gear can push ownership costs far beyond what many buyers originally budgeted. The shocking truth is that the Pan America is an outstanding adventure motorcycle, but buying one without an adventure lifestyle to match is one of the fastest ways to own far more motorcycle than you'll ever realistically use. Number 6. Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. The Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650 has generated plenty of excitement, but that's exactly why some buyers end up making the wrong decision. They see the attractive price, classic styling, and positive reviews, then convince themselves it's automatically the perfect cruiser. The reality is that it's not the right motorcycle for everyone, no matter how good it looks in the showroom. One of the biggest mistakes buyers make is expecting it to compete directly with larger American cruisers. While the Super Meteor 650 is comfortable and refined, It simply delivers a different riding experience. Riders expecting effortless highway power, massive road presence, or the relaxed feel of heavyweight cruisers often realize their expectations were unrealistic after spending more time with the bike. Another issue is that many people buy it without considering how they'll actually use it. If most of your riding involves long interstate trips with luggage and a passenger, there are motorcycles that are much better suited for that job. Choosing the Super Meteor simply because it's popular can leave buyers wanting something bigger sooner than they expected. The shocking truth is that buying the Super Meteor 650, because everyone else says it's a great motorcycle, is exactly the kind of thinking that leads to buyer's remorse when your riding needs don't actually match what the motorcycle was built to do. Number 5. Suzuki Boulevard M109R. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R is the kind of motorcycle that can completely win you over in the showroom. It looks enormous, sounds aggressive, and has the sort of muscular styling that makes buyers imagine themselves owning the biggest, toughest cruiser on the road. The problem is that living with it every day is very different from admiring it for 15 minutes at a dealership. For many riders, the M109R is simply more motorcycle than they actually need. Its size, weight, and massive engine can feel exciting at first, but they also make everyday riding, parking, and slow speed maneuvering far more demanding than many buyers anticipate. Riders moving up from smaller cruisers often underestimate how different the M109R feels, and some discover that they enjoy riding less simply because the motorcycle demands more attention and effort in situations where they just wanted a relaxed cruise. There's also the reality that big displacement doesn't automatically equal a better ownership experience. Many owners eventually realize they rarely use the motorcycle's full potential, meaning they paid for performance they almost never experience while accepting higher ownership costs in return. The shocking truth is that buying the biggest cruiser in the showroom might impress your friends, but it won't impress you for very long if every ride reminds you that you chose the motorcycle to satisfy your ego instead of your actual riding needs. Number 4. Indian Scout 60. The Indian Scout 60 has convinced plenty of buyers that they're getting a premium American cruiser for less money, but that's not always the bargain it appears to be. Too many people buy it because it's the more affordable way to own an Indian without stopping to ask whether it's actually the motorcycle they'll be happiest riding over the long term. The biggest issue is what happens after the excitement fades. Once riders become comfortable with the motorcycle, many begin wondering if they should have stretched their budget for the full-size Scout instead. More power, stronger acceleration, and extra features suddenly become very tempting, turning what felt like a smart financial decision into a motorcycle they want to replace much sooner than expected. The Scout 60 also appeals heavily to first-time cruiser buyers, and that's where another mistake happens. Many assume it's the perfect long-term motorcycle, only to discover that their riding habits change quickly. Longer trips, highway riding, and carrying a passenger often leave owners wishing they'd bought something more capable from the beginning. That creates an expensive cycle. Trading up after only a year or two usually means losing money through depreciation while paying dealership fees all over again. The shocking truth is that saving money on the purchase means very little if you're already thinking about your next motorcycle before you've even finished paying for the current one. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Street 750. The Harley-Davidson Street 750 attracted thousands of buyers with one simple promise: an affordable way to own a Harley. Unfortunately, many people stopped their research right there. They bought the motorcycle because of the logo on the tank instead of asking whether it actually delivered the ownership experience they were hoping for. One of the biggest complaints came after the first few months of ownership. Riders who had dreamed of the classic Harley feel often realized the Street 750 offered a very different experience. It didn't capture the same character, sound, or road presence that made them want a Harley in the first place, leaving many owners feeling like they had settled rather than achieved their goal. The motorcycle also had a habit of becoming a stepping stone instead of a destination. Buyers frequently upgraded to larger Harley models sooner than expected, which meant taking a financial hit on trade-in value while spending even more money to get the motorcycle they really wanted from the beginning. The shocking truth is that buying the Street 750 because it says Harley-Davidson on the fuel tank has turned out to be a shortcut that many owners eventually wished they had never taken. Number 2. Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 is one of the most outrageous motorcycles ever built, and that's exactly why it traps so many buyers. People don't buy it because they need it. They buy it because it's the biggest engine in a production motorcycle and because owning something so extreme feels exciting. Unfortunately, excitement alone isn't a great reason to spend this much money. The Rocket 3 demands compromises that many buyers never think about in the showroom. It's physically huge, incredibly powerful, and far more motorcycle than the average rider will ever use. After the initial thrill wears off, some owners discover they're riding a machine that feels excessive for commuting, casual weekend rides, or everyday errands. There's also the temptation factor. Buyers often convince themselves that more horsepower automatically means more enjoyment, when in reality most of the Rocket 3's performance is impossible to use legally or safely on public roads. Ownership isn't inexpensive either. Tires, insurance, servicing, and premium accessories all reflect the fact that this is a flagship motorcycle. Those ongoing costs can quickly make owners question whether they truly needed a machine this extreme in the first place. The shocking truth is that the Rocket 3 is incredible at being exactly what it was designed to be, but that's also why it's one of the easiest motorcycles to buy for the wrong reasons. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S takes the top spot because it's one of the easiest motorcycles to fall in love with before you've actually lived with it. It has aggressive styling, serious performance, and enough showroom appeal to convince buyers they've found the perfect Harley. The problem is that first impressions and long-term satisfaction aren't always the same thing. Many people walk into a dealership expecting the Sportster S to deliver the traditional Harley-Davidson experience, only to realize after buying it that it's a completely different kind of motorcycle. Its modern design, riding position, and performance-focused personality don't match the expectations of riders who grew up dreaming about classic Harley cruisers. Another mistake buyers make is purchasing it for its performance rather than their actual riding habits. If most of your time is spent cruising around town, taking relaxed weekend rides, or covering long highway miles, there are other Harley models that are better suited to those jobs. The premium price only makes the decision more risky. Once you factor in insurance, accessories, maintenance, and depreciation, discovering you've bought the wrong Harley becomes an expensive lesson that can't be fixed with a simple upgrade. The shocking truth is that the dumbest motorcycle purchase isn't buying a bad bike. It's buying the right motorcycle for somebody else's lifestyle instead of your own. And that's exactly where countless Sportster S buyers have gone wrong. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.